As the Kansas City Chiefs kick off day one of training camp, we're going to discuss some news and action that took place today. But before we do any of that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. Without further ado, let's jump into day one of training camp. As the vets started to arrive to training camp today, we got news that Travis Kelce got a pay raise today. Actually, it was basically taking the back end of his contract and bringing it to this year. It was a $3 million pay raise, bringing his contract for this year to $10.5 million, and basically getting most of his contract earlier than expected, which in all due, he deserves. He's one of the best tight ends in the league, so he might as well get paid now rather than later. What does this contract mean going forward? Really nothing besides just getting a raise right now. His contract will still go through 2025. He will probably play out that contract unless he gets another extension. We'll have to see how that goes too, because 2025, he'll be around 35, 36 years old, which on the kind of trend he's at, putting up 1,000 yards every year, I'm not going to doubt him. He could do that till he's all the way 35. We'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But I definitely see Travis Kelce retiring as the Kansas City Chief. So this is a good move to pay him now and make him one of the richest tight ends. Even though it doesn't like surpass anyone crazy to be the #1 paid tight end, but it's a pay raise he does deserve. Now, still sticking on the offensive side of the ball, we got surprising news yesterday that kind of caught us all a little bit off guard with Clyde EdwardsHelaire and him being on the PUP list. It rose a lot of eyebrows because we thought this was going to be the healthiest offseason he ever had, which would make him primed to be a breakout candidate this year and basically have a better year than he's ever had in his whole career. And then to see him be put on the PUP list, it caught us all by surprise because, one, we didn't know he was injured, so we wanted to hear what type of injury he was having coming into camp, and we knew we would get the answers today. And we didn't really get an answer, but I guess we did. And the answer was that was the shortest lived PUP list he's ever been on, that probably a player has ever been on, because he practiced today and he was taken off the list. Now, if you paid attention to him in camp today, he did have a sleeve compression on his leg, so maybe his leg is irritated somewhat somehow. But in highlights I've seen in things like that, he looked full speed. He was doing every drill. He didn't look nicked up at all. So I'm curious to see what Coach Reed has to say about why he was put on the PUP list, because he didn't really disclaim anything either. He just said he's off the list. And I guess that's good to know that he's off the list, because this is a career, this has to be a career year for Clyde EdwardsHelaire. He has to perform, he has to show out, because this is a deep running back room that he's got to compete with Ronald Jones. You got Isaiah Pacheco, you got Jerick McKinnon back, you got Jerry and Ely. This room is loaded, where if Clyde EdwardsHelaire was hurt, someone's going to fill in that position very well, and there's no looking back on that too. So it's good to see Helaire healthy, because I really liked the tape that he was putting out, watching on like social media, seeing him healthy, seeing him with a little more burst than I'm not usually used to. So I think that can implement very well in this offense, and it's going to be exciting to see what he can do in this offense going into 2022, because a lot of people are hating on him right now, and I can understand why, but he's got talent. I think he'll show out this year. We'll just have to wait and see how that becomes. Now let's dive into the fun portion. You know it. They took the field for the first time today, the vets and rookies combined. So you know we got some players showing out, and it was one of the Chiefs' key acquisitions this year in Juju SmithSchuster. Juju went crazy basically, and it was basically that good repertoire that him and Mahomes built in Texas throughout this offseason. He had an amazing diving catch. Mahomes in his first 7 passes targeted him 4 times. He caught all 4 of those. Juju seems like he's going to be a big weapon in this offense. And what a lot of people are forgetting about Juju too is he's only 25. He's very young. Yes, he dealt with injuries last year, which kind of makes people think Juju is not who he once was. He's still got his legs under him. He's still going to be a threat. He's going to be seeing a lot of targets. Like we mentioned, there's going to be someone who fills in for Tyreek, whether it be the obvious like a Juju, or whether it be someone out of the woodworks like an MVS or a Jody Fortson. Someone's going to do it. It's going to come in all different ways. And that's another thing that took place today was Mahomes delivered the ball throughout and got it to a lot of different receivers, a lot of different running backs. That's going to be the taste of 2022 in this Kansas City Chiefs offense. They're going to show us a lot of different sneak peeks and formulas that we're just not used to seeing. Doesn't mean it's going to be worse. It could be better, because defenses aren't planned on that, hey, Hill's going deep, go cover him, that 2 deep safety sets. It's not going to be as it once was. Defenses are going to have to start scheming the Kansas City Chiefs a whole lot different. And speaking of the defense, I'm going to mention two guys here, and of course, I love to mention this guy in Justin Reed. He showed out today. He had an early interception and a pass breakup on Patrick Mahomes. It was a beautiful corner route he read very well. Got Jody Fortson, intercepted it. Another thing I love to see with this too was at the end of the play, you got both leaders. Even though it was Mahomes' interception, he basically gave him a high five and things like that. That's what you love to see. This is practice. Players are gonna make plays. And you're on the same team anyways. Those are the type of plays you want to see because those will definitely correlate and translate to what happens in September, October, November, and in a playoff run. And also, too, Justin Reed, he seems like the perfect guy to take over a spot like a Honey Badger. Not saying he can be exactly like a Honey Badger, but I just love the transition. I love the way Justin Reed talks. I love the way he plays, and I think he could be a sneaky acquisition to where he might be a stud. And you just got to watch how KC does things like this. I know a lot of people could be bitter that the Chiefs moved on from the Honey Badger, but a lot of people were bitter when we gave up on Eric Berry, then moved to Tyron. So this could be the same type of thing. The league keeps growing and changing, and if you stay the same, you're going to get caught. And I think KC has a good young leader to lead this defense. Speaking of another young guy that can also help this defense is Joshua Williams. He's a sneaky 4th-round pick, and I'm mentioning him again. And we know how Brett Veach does in the draft where he finds his guys late in the round, and Joshua Williams might be one of them. Now, he had a couple pass breakups today. He did very, very well, filling in for Rashad Fenton, and a lot of us do love Fenton. But if Fenton's out for an extended period of time, Williams could be the guy. And I know it seems like we talk more about Williams than we do Trent McDuffie. And I don't know why that's the case because Trent McDuffie is a solid cornerback that basically shouldn't have fallen to Kansas City in the first round, but KC was able to nab him. But if you could just imagine a cornerback trio of L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, and then you got Joshua Williams, and then you got Rashad Fenton. This is a young group, but if they can put their talent on the field early on, they're going to be a hard group to beat. I'm excited to see what Joshua Williams brings to this team, and I'm glad to see it's already translating to the football field early in the season. And the last topic of conversation for today, even though it's the last one, is probably my most favorite one, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs are bringing Carlos Dunlap in for a visit tonight. This has me ecstatic because I think this is one of the most pieces the Chiefs need to fill on this defense. I don't think they have really that many holes. You could mention there's not a lot of leadership or veterans on this defense, or maybe even on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, I can give you that take. But pass rusher is a need. Yes, you got Frank Clark coming back, but we don't know how that's going to translate, if he's going to show out or anything like that. We can hope for the best, but seeing from prior experience, it's you're going to get more than 5 sacks? We don't know. We hope big for George Karlaftis. We hear he has a high motor. I'm excited to see what he brings to the field. We hope Chris Jones bounces back. But Carlos Dunlap would be a huge addition. And I mean huge in the aspect he'll be filling in for the role of a Melvin Ingram, but I think he is better than Melvin Ingram. If you just look at what Carlos Dunlap did last year, he had 21 pressures, 8.5 sacks on a Seattle team that tend to struggle. So yeah, they were dealing with a lot of dropbacks, and he was going after the quarterback. But he was succeeding when he was doing it. And I think this is the perfect time to bring in a vet like this. I was going to mention it was either going to be Carlos Dunlap or JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul, because Jason Pierre-Paul has the repertoire with Steve Spagnuolo. And of course, if we want to aim for the fences and hit a home run, go for a Robert Quinn and see how that goes. But a guy like Carlos Dunlap, you don't have to break the bank for, you don't have to trade any picks for, and he can bring you instant impact. And he's a guy who I think will want to join the Kansas City Chiefs because, hey, get that Super Bowl ring and close off your resume. I'm not saying he's going to retire after this year, but it's definitely a sweet point too. But there are also other bidders out there for him. The main one is the Carolina Panthers, who he visited, I want to say yesterday or last week. But he's in St. Joe now. He's having an interview. I hope Brett Veach doesn't let him leave because this is a key acquisition, especially when you got these star-studded quarterbacks in this division with a Justin Herbert, with a Russell Wilson, and a Derek Carr. You need to find a way to slow these guys down, and if you can add him to a line with the Chris Jones, Frank Clark, and George Karlaftis, I am all for it. But that will close out this video, you guys. Let me know your day one comments that really stood out to you and how you feel how this camp is going out so far. But before I do close this out, like I did mention, please do subscribe to the channel and like this video, because I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on throughout the season. And with that, I'm taking out. Y'all take care.